newly installed cameras capturing an eruption from the Black Diamond Pool at Yellowstone National Park on Saturday.
The Yellowstone supervolcano, it's a caldera volcano. Like they didn't realize that it was so big until somewhere in like the 2000s, I think it was. They did satellite imagery and they realized, oh my God.
Under the ground in Yellowstone National Park, there is a monster that is sleeping. Another big volcano in the world is Yellowstone. It hasn't erupted in more than 70,000 years, which is how long it has been mostly quiet. But this giant volcano could explode in a way that is very dangerous. Then what would happen if Yellowstone blew up tomorrow? Magma is molten or almost molten rock that builds up in chambers below the Earth's surface and causes most volcanic explosions. Over time, magma and gas slowly fill these spaces. The magma and gas rise from the upper mantle and press on the lower crust. When there is a lot of pressure inside a magma cave, it can break apart the rock around it, making cracks and fissures in the ground. Volcanic material bursts through these cracks and hits the surface as lava or solid pieces known as pyroclasts. This is what we call an explosion of a volcano. If there is a big enough and violent enough explosion, it could push out so much material that the magma chamber becomes unstable. It's possible for the chamber's walls to cave in, creating a big depression called a caldera. This briefly closes off the chamber below, letting magma and gas build up again. Volcanic eruptions can range in size and power from small smokestacks to huge bombs that destroy entire cities. A number range from 1 to 8 is used to measure these natural events. It is called the Volcanic Explosivity Index, VEI. Each number on this scale shows a different amount of released volcanic material, and the numbers go up by 10s. About 1 cubic kilometer of volcanic material could be thrown out by a level 5 explosion, like when Mount Vesuvius erupted and wiped out the old city of Pompeii. It's possible for level 6 eruptions to send out 10 times as much stuff as level 7 eruptions can send out 100 times as much. Though many of these eruptions may be very destructive, they are not super eruptions, which are the most powerful ones on the VEI. Some of the rarest and worst natural events in Earth's past are these huge disasters. Some super eruptions build up for thousands of years before they finally blow out, sending more than 1,000 cubic kilometers of volcanic material into space and having an effect on the whole world. It was about 26,500 years ago that New Zealand's Taupo volcano had its most recent big eruption. This huge eruption changed the environment around it in big ways, releasing more than 1,100 cubic kilometers of volcanic material. Because of this, a big crater lake on the North Island was formed. It is now called Lake Taupo. The Yellowstone supervolcano, which is also known as the Yellowstone caldera, is one of only a few active volcanoes that can spew very large amounts of lava. The other is the Taupo volcano. This is mostly because of its huge underground magma system, which fills most of Yellowstone National Park and has been busy for the last 2 years. 1 million years. 3 very large eruptions happened at Yellowstone during this time. The crater we know today was made by the last one, the Lava Creek Tuff. Some people think that the Yellowstone caldera will erupt again soon because Lava Creek Tuff exploded about 630,000 years ago. It is tough to guess what would happen if this supervolcano finally blew. Today, no one in the world has ever seen VI-8 explode. But something so important wouldn't just happen out of the blue. It's possible that we could find signs days, weeks, or even years before a Yellowstone big eruption happens. As the magma chamber below fills and bulges, satellites may be able to see changes in the ground. Seismographs would record earthquakes that get stronger and cause cracks and gaps to open up. In some places, the ground may be leaking steam or hot volcanic gas, which is a sign of an even worse disaster to come. If the pressure under the crust gets too high, a series of climactic blasts could send a huge amount of volcanic material flying into the air. A column of very hot pyroclasts could emerge from the ground and speed up enough to reach the stratosphere. Large pieces of pyroclastic rock would cool down very quickly in the open air, and then fall to Earth, as dangerous volcano bombs. At the same time, a cloud of ash and gas from the volcano may spread outward. Across 1,500 kilometers, it casts a dark shadow over the area. Depending on the direction of the wind, some of the material from the volcano may be blown as far as the Pacific coast or the eastern shore. Hot ash could fall from the sky across the country, making it hard to communicate and putting planes at risk, like dangerous snow. Volcanic material may also spread out over roads and buildings, damaging cars, power lines, and other important structures. Crops may die, and animals may die of respiratory sickness on thousands of acres of farmland. If Yellowstone really did have an eruption that formed a caldera, big parts of the United States might become unsafe or unlivable. As the rock from the volcano moves across the country, dangerous pyroclastic flows may come out of the blast site and race along the surface. Gas and volcanic matter moving through these very hot currents may go faster than 100 kilometers per hour. Pyroclastic flows are one of the most dangerous and destructive things that can happen on a volcano. They can destroy woods, farms, and even whole towns. When they get to more than 700 degrees Celsius, volcanic matter will scorch, burn, or flatten almost everything they touch. Sometimes, pyroclastic flows can go dozens of kilometers away from the eruption site and may be followed by thick, rough clouds of ash. After these flows damage the land, their parts may cool and harden into complicated shapes made of volcanic rock. Most of the time, when we think of volcanic explosions, we think of ash and lava. Every climactic explosion, like a supereruption at Yellowstone, may release dozens of times more energy than the most powerful nuclear bombs ever made. According to records, the 1883 eruption of Krakatoa may have been the biggest sound ever heard. These powerful explosions may have broken that record. Each climactic explosion might be heard from as far away as Mexico or the east coast of the United States. Besides making very loud noise, the explosions may send out pressure waves that travel at the speed of sound from the spot of the blast. It's possible that these shock waves are strong enough to go around the world more than once, causing changes in atmospheric pressure and extreme weather trends all over the world. It's hard to say how many people will die right away in a disaster that is so rare and strong. A lot of experts have said over the years that tens or hundreds of thousands of people died on the first day of the eruption. Pyroclastic flows that move quickly and crush people may kill a lot of people. Some people could die from the ash clouds that are covering towns and suburbs. One of the worst disasters in modern times would almost certainly be a super explosion at Yellowstone. The exact effects of this disaster would be different for each person. Not only would this disaster kill a lot of people, it would also change the temperature and ecosystem of Earth. Different gases, such as sulfur dioxide, are spewed into the air by them. Sulfur dioxide and water together make an aerosol that sends solar energy into space. This could cause a rapid cooling effect, lowering temperatures and changing the climate around the world for many years to come. This kind of cooling has happened before during major eruptions, like the one that happened at Mount Tambora in Indonesia in 1815. The temperature around the world changed so much because of this level 7 eruption that 1816 was called the year without summer. Even though it was clearly disastrous, Mount Tambora released a lot less volcanic material than a real super eruption would have. This could cause the world to cool down for a long time, which is called a volcanic winter. It's possible that a few years of world cooling would be very bad for our ecosystem. Whole food chains could fall apart. Some species are more likely to go extinct or become rare. When famine and disease hit our community, even humanity may have a hard time, causing the world's population to drop by a lot. Lucky for us, the chances of such a disaster happening are very, very low. There are volcanologists who say Yellowstone caldera will explode soon, but soon, in this case, could mean any time in the next 100,000 years. At this point, there are no signs that a super eruption is about to happen that isn't related to the normal seismic action in the area. Even if signs were found all of a sudden, they might not point to a super eruption that will end the world, but to a fairly regular hydrothermal event. One of the largest hydrothermal systems in the world is in Yellowstone National Park. Every few hundred years, there are big hydrothermal blasts. These sudden blasts of boiling water, mud, and rock pieces can make craters and kill people, but they only risk the area around the volcano, not the whole country or the world. There is no question that the idea of a super eruption at Yellowstone is very scary. It could be the biggest explosive event ever recorded, with effects that could be felt all over the world. But it's not likely that a major eruption will happen at Yellowstone or anywhere else in our lifetimes. The sleeping monster at Yellowstone National Park probably won't wake up anytime soon, but there may be smaller eruptions that could be very dangerous. Tell us in the comments. Please like this video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss our next videos.